Hi, friends. How are you? I'm Zerk. I'm the host of Talking Fence People. Here's the thing. I'm not sure it's a good idea for me to brazenly just ignore you like this, because you said clearly to me, Eric, no streaming from now on. But something really, really important came up. I think I'm bored of anime. I'm having trouble making the leap, Except for the very best shows, of course. And we had quite the menagerie stop by this evening. Our visitors today include, just today, Peter, Peacock, Trouble the cat. Of course, we have our own cat. Skunky Brewster, Raccoony the raccoon. That's it. I haven't seen the possum today, but I saw the possum yesterday. It's quite a menagerie we got. Times like these make me almost want to just close my eyes and not look at the chat at all. Just to feel something steady. These days, I rarely give myself as much pacing discretion as perhaps I'd like to. I enjoy thinking things out some between sentences. And I also enjoy making a nice pitter-pattery, good-paced video. But that's why I'm live streaming now, to remind myself of the number one rule. This channel is not for that, right? This channel is for things that don't follow the rules. This channel is for all my random little ideas. Like today, I made a video. Well, I didn't make it. It was emailed to me by Andy Rooney. I guess he'd heard the rumor that some people think he's dead. He emailed me a short video so they could publish it. Announcing that he was not, in fact, dead. He's alive. I asked him if Bill Walton was there with him, and he was surprisingly non-responsive, which is pretty suspicious. So anyway, I know you said no streaming. But my point, I guess, is that this isn't really live streaming exactly. It's just hanging out. I'm tapped out, like, from lack of sleep, and just sort of, I guess I went kind of hard today. I feel no sturdier than a balsa wood piñata. A piñata made of balsa wood. It's a piñata that won't sustain a lot of hits from baseball bats. What does one do when one's in this state of being, where I'm not enthusiastic, I can't quite sleep, I took half a clonic last night, so I don't want to take another one tonight. I'm tapped out, I'm out of energy, and I need to go to sleep, but I'm not really feeling like sleeping right this second. And I was going to watch some anime. I had a couple of thoughts of things I wanted to talk about. And then when I started the stream, I didn't even remember what I was going to talk about. That starts to happen also when I get too little sleep. My memory starts getting affected a little bit. That's true for everybody, by the way, not just me. Sleep affects working memory a lot. It's most notable in people like me who naturally have only as much working memory as we need to remember where we're going with our point, and we often don't even have quite that much. So the judge released Homie for lack of evidence. I typed the guy, and for half an hour or so, and I was by the end of half an hour, I was convinced that it should have been too borderline for me to arrest him, really, probably, if I had seen more. Basically, I experienced the affect thing. So people are very much of their affect when they're publicly speaking and so forth. Especially if they're making an attempt. Gundam? I don't really love Gundam. It's a big suit one, right? I did start a little while ago one that I actually started getting into and probably will go back to. It's this one, it's an old galactic one where they have to get in these sleep chambers and they stop for 20 years and then they're going to investigate a planet. Then get back to the sleep chamber, go another 20 years, investigate the planet, then go back to Earth. Anyway, at the first 20-year stop, one of the things that the automatic collector thing, automatic object collector that's attached to the spaceship has picked up had some alien life on it. And now they're having a pandemic of sorts on the spaceship that's killing people. Of course, they're not quarantining you or locking down, but they definitely should, because it only takes 5 minutes or so from getting the disease to dying from it. So, anyway, it's interesting because I hadn't even finished exactly all the first episode of it, but I'm intrigued. And I've been watching some things that failed to intrigue me as well, but failed to pull me in all the way. Like, I continue watching regarding Zero Starting Life Over in a New World, but every week I'm just like, Jesus Christ, could this be any slower? It can't decide if it's a cartoon for girls or boys, basically. And it wants to split the difference, and the girly parts are just, okay, I don't need to know more about your goddamn relationship. I don't care. You know what I'm saying, Scott Steiner, the world's greatest ring announcer. I briefly watched one of the all-time girliest shows I could ever conceive of. Again, via the random button. I don't exactly remember its name, but it's one of the so-called reverse harem shows, where it's got like one chick and like 5 hunky dudes around her. Anyway, I started watching it, and what killed it and made it impossible for me to continue watching it was just the excessive splay of sparkles, glittery things, gems on everything. You know, it just, even if it turned into a good show, I just couldn't stand sitting in such a girly space for such a long time. I was like, God, is there anything interesting in this show? Basically, it's kind of like going into the beauty parlor when you're a little boy with your grandma, and there's just nothing interesting in there at all. All there are horrible women's magazines like Women's Day and Red Book, and maybe if you're lucky, Cosmo and Reader's Digest. And, you know, grandma's first she has to get a haircut, then she has to get it washed, then she has to sit under the blow dryer. And it's like, I walk around that back, and there's nothing back there except for the alley. I go back into the beauty parlor. I hate the beauty parlor. There's nothing interesting in here. That's what I used to think about the beauty parlor. Of course, now it's my second home. Now I recognize just how important it is to sustain a parlor for beauty. If you've never heard of it, please Google The One Bel Air. And so there's this real estate developer or real estate agent, I'm not sure exactly what he is, who lives in Los Angeles and does big development / real estate deals. I guess he acquired this very large lot. I think it's 8 acres total, I think it said, on the top of a very desirable mountain, really like a tall hill kind of, but in Bel Air, and decided to build what would best be called a setting for a movie involving international spies and stuff. Okay, it's like, it's the kind of house you only ever see in movies where like a spy hero has to go to a fancy party where there are ambassadors and stuff. It looks like a hotel. The point is, go look at it. It's a 3-minute long video, and it's called The One, and it's in Bel Air, and like it's their advertising for this house. They're trying to get $100 million for this thing. He originally planned to build one that he anticipated or wanted to charge $500 million for. A house. When you look at this thing, this house, who could live there? Like, I mean, for you to actually be able to functionally, to be able to use the house as it's meant to be used, forget everything else, just to be able to use the house as it's meant to be used, you'd need to have a family of at least, you'd have to have you, your wife, and your like 14 children maybe, and even then it would be palatial. Okay, 18. You and your wife, you meet your wife right at the age 16. She's pregnant 3 years into her 17th month and gives birth on her 18th birthday. That's your first kid. You pop one out a year every year thereafter for 18 years. Actually, let's do it for 22 years. Okay, so she had 22 kids, and then she stops having kids at 40. Now, that husband and wife and their 22 kids could still all live in that house and each be in their own separate space and still have to walk around a few corners to find anybody else in their family. It's got a bowling alley. It's got 5 swimming pools. Why does any house need 5 swimming pools? I mean, I get the idea that you might get tired of one swimming pool and want to change the scenery. Maybe you want to swim in the other pool. And I get, sure, it makes sense that if you only have 2 swimming pools, you swim in one and you kind of get tired of it, you swim in the other one, you get tired of that, you go back to the first one, it's fresh again. Hey, so now you get tired of it, go back to the second, tired of it. I get there might theoretically be a need to have 3 swimming pools. And that way you can go, this one, oh, this one, this one, oh, this one, it's like a waltz, right? But I'm going to be extra generous. Let's just say that, hi, Winston's mom. Nice to see you too. I looked at your house. I sent you an email, I think, about it, maybe. That's no cottage. That's a cabin. Talk about abusing the term cottage, Winston's mom. That kind of rough handling of diction is not okay. Okay, but listen, Scott Steiner, we didn't stop there when building the one Bel Air's $100 million palatial mansion. Because the fact is, even if 3 swimming pools are enough for you, what about your wife? Now, we're going to change the scenario here. We're going to have this home now currently occupied by just a couple. They may end up having a kid or 2. They're still fairly young. They're only 28 each, But currently it's just 2 of them. Julie said, to Barry, do we really need all this space? The master bedroom alone is 4,000 square feet. It's bigger than most people's houses. That's just for the bedroom. The closet is bigger than a studio apartment. Probably bigger than a 1-room apartment. I'm not sure I need quite that much closet space. That's just our closet. There's one closet in the master bedroom. So, okay, I get, though, that you need 3 pools for yourself. In case you get bored of pool number 1 and 2, you go to the third one. And I get that your wife needs her own private pool. Okay, so there's 4 pools. But what impresses me is the genius intuition of this guy who realized, but hey, what if the wife gets bored of that pool? And he came upon it one day, just landed in front of him like a light bulb, tied to a gold brick, tied to an aha, tied to a eureka. And he said it out loud. He's like, 5 pools. A 5th pool. It has a discotheque. This house has a discotheque. It has a bowling alley. It has a 50-seat theater. It has a discotheque. It has 5 swimming pools. The backyard, the backyard lawn is an acre. The thing is, what I want to do, I want to go buy that house. I'm talking about the one. Okay, it's called the one in Bel Air. If you find the right Twitter thing, it has a video advertisement for this house. This guy was trying to sell for $100 million. The one, Bel Air, $100 million house. If you Google that, you'll certainly find it. The crazy thing is, it's only 1.5 baths. Just kidding. It's not really 1.5 baths. That would be funny though. It had 5 swimming pools, 8-bedroom, 5 swimming pools, 1 bowling alley, 50-cent theater, discotheque, bar, 1.5 baths. Wait. There's only 1 toilet in the house? Well, that's a big toilet. Yeah, originally he was planning on trying to sell for $500 million, okay? But he cut back a little bit on some of the things he planned to do with it. For example, he was originally planning to have I think it was an ice bar. I'm not exactly sure what that is. But he decided they had to nix that. Guess what else they had to nix? And this was so important. The jellyfish pool. I guess they ran over budget and they couldn't successfully install the jellyfish pool. So it's like, but where do I get my feet stung? It's like, okay, it's great and everything, but it's missing something. I'm not sure where your built-in foot stinging mechanism is. Arguing with someone that accepting a given outcome for what it'll be based on a given set of actions is not the same thing as desiring it. That's true. Accepting and desiring are different things. To accept is the inevitable consequence of every reality that you don't purposefully ignore. To desire is very, very different. I know, switch it up on them, Clayton. Say this. Okay, how about this? I'll accept your given outcome for what it's not, but only based on a set of actions that's not given, but that's also the same as the desire, provided it's modified by that variable not given. How about then? That'll be confusing. That'll confuse them. Probably. Wait, can you repeat that? Oh, you didn't understand that? So let me get this straight, Kermit's pimp. You're on one side, Winston's mom's on the other side, and Sean's urine stream is so wide that it's like a yellow plate glass window through which you can barely glimpse Winston's mom. That's a fan of urine. That's what it means to catch a glimpse of someone in their stream. I am so prone to misinterpretation, aren't I? I just keep misreading and misreading and misreading. It's almost like I'm doing it on purpose. Back to anime. The thing is, Scott, you and I could sit here and talk about anime all day, I'm sure. But I have to admit, I suspect others may have less totalizing enthusiasm for it. I am kind of curious about going back and seeing what's happening with this. It's like an old spaceship one. Like you can tell when the drawing's kind of old, you know. It has a certain era's vibe to it, and you can tell it's old also because there was one year when they said, "Okay, we're switching from yellow letters to white letters," in the subtitles, you know. And if it still has yellow letters, it's old. If it has white letters, it's new. That one had yellow letters, I think. Yes. Yeah, well, in Japanese animation, at some point, I'm not sure when, maybe like, let's say the year 2000 or something. Prior to that, they always did their subtitles in yellow letters outlined by black. And then after that, they switched over and all subtitles are in white letters now. And the thing is, I've learned making lots of videos in Windows Movie Maker, which lets you put words, places, and stuff, and change the color of the font. That generally speaking, white font's the most broadly correct for like saying making a music video. In other words, let's say I have a series of stills and I'm trying to put lyrics for a song. If I use white colored font, there might be one or two stills that it's a problem because it's very bright and it'll blend in and just, it doesn't contrast against the picture basically. But if I use a dark colored font, I'll always have more conflicts than if I use white. So I think they were smart to do that. And prior to doing that, they had a slightly bigger version of the letter in black below it. So it was sort of traced around in black. They don't have to do that with the white letters. So I'm not sure what it is, but for some reason, it is the case that the single best color to use for subtitles is determined. It's like what works best as far as seeing it against the variety of various backgrounds and pictures and stuff. Turns out we have a lot more darkness in our pictures, so then we do clear white, and that the clear white stands out against sort of off-white pretty well, whereas say light green doesn't stand out against dark green nearly as well. I find that interesting that at first something like that seems completely a completely harmless arbitrary choice. And this is an area where any movie maker can choose whatever font they want, whatever color they want, and it won't impact the product at all. It won't impact the experience at all because, after all, it's just the color of the font. And yet, it turns out that there's a universal truth about it. Isn't that weird? I like it. High Dive allows you to go retro subtitles. I don't like the retro ones. I like the new kind of subtitles better. I mean, look, the bottom line is, in most media, in most things, most creative endeavors, the work product gets increasingly good because, as in science and stuff, people stand on the shoulders of giants, as they say. But it's really more like the previous generation of makers sets the bar. So it's like, the next generation of animators is going, the most intuitive, smartest, most capable artists among the next generation of animators. For them, the bar is going to be better than AOT. And that's really hard to do. I mean, that's a very high bar. So if you think about Launchman Ken or whatever it's called, the distance from that early, horrible, low budge, no story, worst anime ever show to something like Jujutsu Kaisen, it's just light years. Distance has been traveled in the medium already, you know? How many of you would hang an anime shower curtain in your bathroom? I wouldn't. The reason I wouldn't hang something like that is because... Oh, you can't? Okay. Kitty wants me to take her inside. Let me get my jacket, Kitty. Because it's cold. It's cold as... That one time when I had an entire iceberg up my butt. Remember that time? Yeah, I know. It was cold. I said, whoa, did somebody turn on the air conditioning inside of my buttocks? Remember when I said that? And you were like, meow. You don't remember that? But it was our wedding day. How can you not remember? Well, obviously, my memories are mostly about the trip to the hospital, the removal of the iceberg from my butt, all the I told you so's. I told you it was a bad idea to have a wedding on a rowboat in the heaving seas of the North Atlantic. And you said, no, that's where I want the wedding. Remember? Oh, shit. She doesn't really have any, I hope she finished her food and meowed and I took her back in. I hope she wasn't meowing because she didn't have any food and then I took her back in. But I don't really know because I wasn't paying that much attention to her. You know that the latest Black Clover episode was made by combining a lot of fan animations? Really? I mean, it seemed awfully up to par. You know, it's like there was nothing about it that made me think it wasn't a normal professional production. Well, I'll tell you this, though, Scott Steiner. There's actually a very weak correlation between the amount of anime watched and the ability to draw well. Because I wonder if I could draw better now that I've watched all this anime. I haven't tried really drawing since watching all this anime. Maybe I should try it. Maybe it'll turn out that I'm the world's most amazing drawer. I can draw things so perfectly that when you walk in a room and you see one of my drawings, you jump back and said, oh, excuse me, I almost bumped into you there. That's how realistic it's going to be. It was a good episode. I got to say, that Black Clover episode, it went by so fast. It was very action-packed. I'm a little frustrated because I always get a little frustrated when any show allows or takes advantage of the opportunity to give the villains a lot of success time. So, you know, it's something you got to balance very carefully in any narrative, right? You got your protagonist, your hero, who needs a certain amount of challenge and struggle. and has to then overcome that. And then who needs to offer the reader or viewer a certain amount of payback or payoff, where the viewer or reader gets to share in the character's sense of accomplishment because they've overcome this barrier of trouble. An example of a show that doesn't produce enough trouble for the protagonist is I Was Reborn in Another World with My Smartphone. That show's too breezy. It feels like it was written by an ESFJ. It's full of FE. It's spending too much time trying to pay me directly with FE, and you have to, I'm like a girl. You got to get me in the mood. you got to get me ready. It's like that show just it just says, "Oh, good, you're naked." Just shoves it right in me. I'm like, hey, you got to earn that FE resonance. You can't just throw OP shit at them nonstop and expect me to ignore the lack of verisimilitude. It's a good word to have in your repertoire, verisimilitude, because it means believability in fiction, basically. The example I always tell my students when I explain that word to them is, let's say you're, okay, here's an example of a story that lacks verisimilitude from popular media. This is an episode of The Simpsons. No, Black Clover is pretty breezy. It's very light fantasy. I will say this, Karma's Pimp. If you want to watch Black Clover, be prepared for a bit of a steep adoption curve. The main character is gratingly annoying and difficult to listen to for about 4 or 5 first episodes until you there are more characters around and he kind of chills out a little bit. But I almost turned it off after the first 2 episodes because I just couldn't stand his fucking voice and his just nonstop over the top ESFP-ness, It turned out to be a great show, though. I was really sad when I got to the. I was really sad when I got to the end of the episodes that had been produced already, and I was like, "What? Oh, it's still going on? I have to watch it week to week." Oh, but it's not going on very much longer. It's ending in March. Master of Ragnarok I haven't seen. I have watched a decent number of episodes, like 4 or 5 maybe, of Magi, which is kind of like Aladdin plus Kevin the Kingmaker or something. I don't know if that's a movie, but you get the concept I'm trying to say. Kevin the Kingmaker is a good name for a movie. It's a good elevator pitch. Kevin loves Sarah, but she seems to be always at work. She's trying to get ahead at a job where she does web publishing stuff, social media stuff. They've got some clients. They update their Twitters and so forth. Anyway, there's been some conflict at work. That's the plot. It's a pretty good plot. Is that the whole plot? Yeah, it's crazy. You should hear about it. Why don't you tell me about it? I like your taxonomy here, Scott Steiner. Shield Hero is the most popular dark high fantasy show right now. AOT is the most popular dark low fantasy. I understand the distinction between the two. I'm curious as to, so is low fantasy means does it mean capping animal girls and like, this kind of spells that come out in multiple circles and summon things and shit? Means that keeping that down to a minimum, sort of realism with a single fantasy vector. Low fantasy means our world more or less. Okay. So the fantasy is an anomaly to the universe, not implicit to it. So basically, okay, you could taxonomy it then as, in terms of fantasies, implicit, anomalous, and absent. So, for example, that basketball show, or Haikyuu, the volleyball show, that doesn't have any magic in it at all. So you would say, I think, implicit, anomalous, absent. Okay, so I think you can use that implicit, anomalous, absent on a lot of different vectors. You can use that divisor, right? So you could go polyamory. For your harem shows, it's implicit, even if they're not having sex with each other. For your shows like, let me think of one. Okay, well, like, I guess Gate. Gate's a good example of anomalous. Okay. Right. Well, there are varieties of absent fantasy shows, right? So, in other words, to be in the category of fantasy, you can have it be implicit to the world or anomalous to the world. If it's absent, then you're not in the category of fantasy. Jujutsu Kaisen is I guess what we say is lateral in that instance. So shows like also another one that's kind of runs lateral is that one where his name is Waver Velvet. Have you seen the Waver Velvet stuff? In that world, you've got a secret world of magic that operates alongside a world that doesn't have magic in the same basic space in a Harry Potter-esque fashion, right? The problem is I don't like some of the terms and distinctions they make because, like, I guess because I don't know what they mean. I guess that's why I don't like them. That would explain it. When's Shield's Hero coming back? Is Shield's Hero producing new episodes right now? I could go for an episode of Shield Hero. I feel like feel kind of blue-balled by Shield Hero. Like that wasn't very satisfying in any spot. I mean, pretty good in any spot. You feel like, okay, Shield Hero's established himself. He's not taking the shortcuts. He didn't kill the dragon. He cleaned up that rotting carcass. Not as glamorous a job, but a lot more useful one. Waver Velvet. I like the name Waver Velvet. There's a show, an initial show with Waver Velvet, in which he participates in the Holy Grail War. And the Holy Grail War has each of, I don't remember how many mages who are part of this lateral magical community that exists concurrently with but unknown by the regular people. And he summons Alexander the Great in the Holy Grail War. Of course, the Holy Grail War turns out to be sort of like a will-o-wisp trap that the kind of wishes that the Holy Grail grants aren't worth anything anyway. Neofumi is going full edgelord in second half of season 2. I've not seen Neofumi. What's Neofumi about? Is that the second one? Is that the second one with Waver Velvet? Hi, Leaf Trimmer. Have you any wafers? Oh, okay, cool. Well, I mean, currently I'm really excited about what's happening in So I Was Reincarnated as a Slime. Because the protagonist, I like the way this is played out, with the protagonist's nativity biting him in the ass. If you don't want to hear spoilers about So I Was Reincarnated as a Slime, close your ears right now because I'm gonna spoil a couple of things. If you haven't seen the latest episode, close your ears right now. 2 episodes ago, we learned that so like a while back in the show, the Great Rimuru, who was reincarnated as slime, told his nation of monsters, "Don't attack humans. Don't fight the humans." He explains later on that he suspects it was largely because he remembers his life as a human. He can't help but identify with them. But he may also simply be being modest because it's quite possible he understood the dynamics. Namely, if we do fight humans, we're going to get blamed, and we'll just give them an excuse for bad behavior. However, they didn't need an excuse, and the humans manufactured an excuse and then used a couple of barriers to weaken the monsters so that the fairly equally badassness of the two parties is made irrelevant by these monster weakening barriers, right? Well, Great Rimuru returns from a very difficult fight against a lady who almost kills him, or appears to almost, but then, he is the Great Rimuru. He heads back to Tempest. What does he discover? His firm rule to his monsters, his insistence that they not fight humans, they Gandhi it up, has cost a number of his monster friends their lives. And their carcasses are splayed out in the street, laid out in lines in the street, chests bloody, eyes glassy closed. Goblins who once gobbled gleefully around town now lie still. Orcs who once provided that orcan good quality of curiosity and charm, no longer charming anything but the worms in the dirt. Rimuru doesn't freak out, but when the old gray guy with the horns approaches him, or maybe it's the young red guy with the horns, he says in a slow, serious, dangerous voice, "I need a little time alone." And it's then that he makes the decision Well, no, it's not. He's cued in at that point. There's a very slim possibility that he can possibly resurrect some, maybe even most, maybe even all of his slain friends and warriors. But to do that, he'd need to be a demon lord. And the Great Rimuru is a super cool guy. He's super nice to everybody, doesn't want any trouble. But they made a mistake because they've cornered him by holding his entire nation hostage. He looks into the matter and is interrupted in his research, perhaps, let's say, by an announcement. A large force is approaching Tempest, Great Rimuru. Rimuru-sama, what are we going to do? No, don't worry about it. How many are in the force? Oh, 20,000, you say? Perfect. I've been doing some research. The only way I can resurrect my friends here is if I become a demon lord. And to become a demon lord, well, that costs 10,000 human souls. What? All the viewers thought? Rimuru-sama, you can't be seriously going to use gluttony to massacre all of those soldiers. And so I was excited about this week. We're going to find out if he does this week. No, we didn't. It was just a whole week's worth of exposition about shit. People having conversations. Rimuru deciding what to do. You know, it's like, I want to see the massacre already. I want to see Great Rimuru kill all of them. Well, it got complicated, though, at the end. Because it turns out it's fairly likely that Great Rimuru is going to have direct competition for eating all those humans. He's deduced, and I think correctly, that Demon Lord Clayman wants to kill 10,000 humans himself because he's not actually a Demon Lord. He's been faking it. He hasn't killed his requisite 10,000 people yet. So, with 20,000 troops marching on Tempest, what's the obvious development that's going to happen here? They're both going to succeed. What you're going to see in this next week, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, what I'm predicting you're going to see is you're going to see the ascension on one side of claiming to true Demon Lord by killing half of the 20,000 human troops, while concurrently Rimuru also attains Demon Lord status, killing the other 10,000. How convenient that there's exactly 20,000. Once they're both Demon Lords, my money is totally on Rimuru. Now, I wish my money could be on Clayman until, the chips are really down. At which point, the firm resolve, an earnest good heart of Rimuru-sama will triumph over the manipulative evil Clayman. But that's for another day. Thanks for joining us today on what's that show called again that we're just talking about? Oh, on Reincarnated as a Slime Review. I'm your otaku host. They call me Host Derek. I call myself so that's ka. It means I see in Japanese. It's my show. My weekly show called Reincarnated as a Slime Review with Soda Ska. I'm Japan's only otaku weeb. Usually they're exclusive of each other. If you're a weeb, you're not an otaku. If you're an otaku, you're not a weeb. I'm the only weeb in all of Japan. Yes, part of my spirit lives there. I'm not there physically, but I am in Japan. I'm the only human being, really on the planet, but I'm the only non-Japanese person in Japan to have been elevated from weeb to otaku. So that's, I guess, maybe one of my proudest achievements. It's way better than when I was knighted by Queen Elizabeth, because she did a shitty job. I think she was drunk. She actually sliced into my shoulder with that sword. And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, "Sorry, it's not cutting it. You pull the sword out of my shoulder, please." Monsters and mech warriors. Foyer. Karma's pimp, can you please go to the foyer and grab me that ficus? Hey, hurry up. What are you doing? What are you waiting for? Can you please go to the foyer and fetch me that ficus? God, Karma's pimp's such a rebel. Every time I ask him super politely to do something for me, he's always like, "I'm not your bitch, bitch." And I'm always like, I said it super politely. I said, "Shut up and give me my sandwich." I didn't use a bad word like you did. But you know what? When we start Frenching, before we know it, we're both naked on the stairs, loving, laughing, rolling around, throwing flower petals at each other. Remember that day? Do you remember yesterday, Commerce Pub, when we were throwing flower petals at each other? That was so funny. It was such a beautiful time we were having. I'll never forget those days. The thing is, you wouldn't guess it, but Karma's pimp not only has a lovely flower garden, he has got the broadest collection of Yankee candles I've ever smelled. Do you remember? Remember when you lit that one? Yeah, that cinnamon pie. It smells exactly like fresh baked pie. At first, I said, I wanted to say it, and I said, "Are you baking?" That's how much it smells like it. Then we lit them all at once, and boy, was my nose tired from smelling so many smells. So this is my story going over to Karma's pimp's house, okay, and visited. So I went there. Okay, Karma's pimp's not here, right? He just left, right? Okay, I gotta tell you, that dude is weird. Let me tell you what happened when I went over to his house, okay? So first I go over there, and as I get near the house, I smell really like flowery smells and stuff. And I realize I walk up, you got like shit tons of incense burning everywhere. You know, it's like it's a little overpowering, but it smells okay, guys. So I walk in, and he's like, "Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Cool, good." He's like, "You like that incense, huh?" And I'm like, "Sure, yeah." But I think he thought I was more enthusiastic than I was. He went around and lit all his Yankee candles. It wasn't long before I could barely breathe in there. I was like, "It definitely is fragrant, but is it too much? It's a little strong." What did he do? He went around and sprayed Febreze. Closed all the windows, locked all the doors, emptied several cans of Febreze into the air, and said, "All better now?" Yeah, it's great. What you doing? All right, just looking to see if I started growing breasts. Why would you start growing breasts? I don't know, maybe all the Febreze. Oliver Linehan Let me explain the situation with that guy. So here's the formal status on the matter. He had a judicial hearing. I don't recall whether it was a bench hearing or a jury trial, but he was found not guilty by virtue of the fact that the prosecution failed to establish the case adequately. Which, I mean, I'm the one who made the ruling. I'm the one who made the argument. Obviously, I agree with you that, look, I talked to him for a while. I enjoyed talking to him. I wouldn't say I got a whole hell of a lot of testing done. And I probably didn't do a great job as a prosecuting attorney, but the judge had enough after about 45 minutes and said, "That's it. You've not established enough for me to convict this man and throw him in jail. I need something clearer than your vibe, Eric, or he's an ENFJ, which is not an argument, or meh. And so the bottom line is, since he's not in jail, he's not been found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, he is innocent, and we should behave accordingly, which is to say, we should afford him the benefit of the doubt that he is the type he says he is, and not try to challenge it." No, it was pleasant. I enjoyed it. It just wasn't decisive. I think he was interested in talking to me somewhat about his life and experiences. And, it's like, apparently he'd been watching me for a couple of years, And, yeah, we talked to the phone. For less than an hour, but more than 45 minutes. So, easy to talk to. Much less, well, definitely less ENFJ seeming when talking to him one-on-one than when he's holding court, has all the floor. But yeah, the judge let him go. Thus, he has been acquitted. Thus, we presume innocence. What's the type to have the least patience with a netty tangle? What's a netty tangle? Oh, is it when you're doing the poke with two girls named Nettie and get them tangled up together? It is important to remember, when we're watching somebody make a YouTube video, usually, we are watching them behave as a subject. Whether Jodie Foster is an ENFJ or an INFJ, if she's either one, either way, she's a knower and an interfacer. Did you ruin the last stream? You mean like the 6-hour-long stream? I don't remember you ruining any stream. I don't know what people were talking about. I have no idea what you're referring to, really. I mean, I have a speculative notion. It might be like from maybe like a week ago when we were powing about Trump a lot. Oh, I had to end that stream because I accidentally showed some boobies. from my background onto the string. That was totally me. That's my bad TE. Not managing my OBS scene very well, and also being unable to stay on the correct side of the fence with my search terms. Because look, the thing is, if you search for the following thing, like cute girls with big boobs and bikinis, you get all girls with some clothes on. Let's say you're not finding what exactly you like. So you take, let's just put cute girls with big boobs. Well, all of a sudden you get a lot of girls without all their clothes on. So if you have your OBS thing set up to display capture, it's going to show us everything on the screen. Now I had, as defense, I had like my head was framed between two stills that covered up my display capture. So you could only see the boobs that were in this narrow range right here. But I'm guessing there was at least one or two in there. I don't know. I didn't wait around to check exactly. I thought it was highly likely. So I ended the stream and I deleted the video right away because I didn't want to get in trouble with YouTube. What, it doesn't? I mean, that's not why I haven't gotten the plague. What emotion is this? This is kind of the emotion I feel. I think the emotion might be called French Stewart. Ah. Oh, French Stewart, why doth thou squint? Why canst thou open thine eyes? Oh, French Stewart, the laundry, the lint, endless procession of whys. I believe the emotion was meow. Yeah. Well, those are two of nature's most dangerous smushy round things. Two of nature's most dangerous smushy round things. And they are dangerous. You know, one moment you can be hard at work on important man things. And the next you can find yourself distracted by boobs. It's just how life works these days. I chose to engage with Legends Fall's stern judging as I did. Legends Fall is not responsible for my failures. Okay? Now, I will concede, however, that yes, true, to some extent, it was all Leaf Trimmer's fault. But that's kind of like every time. No, it wasn't always. I had to Google that term when I saw it in anime for the first time. Like, what does that mean exactly? I was a little suspicious of it. I was somewhat relieved to see that it meant adult women who shall we say, don't highlight their womanliness very much. Just, I know, sure. You're still waxing poetic about that girl. You know what? That picture was taken 15 years ago. She's had 6 kids, and she's lost most of her teeth. So you might think losing her teeth ain't all bad, but if she had lost them all cleanly, fine. But there's a lot of them are broken. There's some jagged points in there. Don't rush the dream. Okay, I won't. And so I never did get to tackle Akeem Olajuwon like I wanted to. I'm talking about Akeem Olajuwon. I don't know what you think you're talking about. Sounds like you're talking about Olajuwon Akeem. Totally different person. I keep imagining my cat right here, but when I turn around, no cat. Maybe just the imagination soul of the cat is here, keeping guard, protecting against bad magic spirits come from Japan to steal my Japanese food so that I can't go like this. Oh! My message was sent a few seconds later than I wanted. If I had sent it just in time, everyone would still be alive. No, he's not holding his original stance. He said he's a little harsh with it. Redo of Healer? Is that okay? Where is that redo of Healer? I mean, the thing is, Legends Fall, I understand why he was fixated a little bit on that particular picture. Of all the pictures I saw, I too was, to the extent that I was fixated on any of them, it was that one. Why? I did a little bit of analysis of it, actually, as to why. It's like, what? Like, okay, let's see if I can figure out the key factor here. Okay. The key factor is this. She looks like a complete idiot who's kind of scared because she might be getting in trouble with you. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. To sum it up, basically, why is that girl so appealing? What is it about that one? There was lots of other ones who were more sexy, quote unquote, in some sort of conventional sense, with in a bikini or whatever. The reason that girl stands out and you want to keep looking at that picture and the other ones just whatever, just go by your eyes, is because of the way she has her hands to her face. It makes her look both like a complete moron and like she's slightly scared that she might be getting in trouble. You know, am I getting in trouble? You know, it's, I mean, when you see that face, when you see the facial expression, even if you're not exactly sure what rule she broke or what she did to get in trouble, you know she's earned a spanking. Just, if nothing else, a preventative one. Because that's the way she learns. Ma ma ma. Ma ma ma. Ma 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 ma. That's the way she learns. Okay, from now on, we're singing nothing but smooth jazz. I'd like somebody to please toss out a smooth jazz song that we all know so we can all sing along together. Maybe a little bit of the Babadoo Bop Bops or the La ya 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 ya. Or this is part of any jazz song. Who wants to throw out a snappy, adult contemporary, wordless, aimless, complicated jazz song? I do, but I'm too tired. And this it is. I am going to bed now. I can no longer. The funny thing, Kermit's Bev, is I I picked a bunch. I saved a bunch of images of chicks first, and then I said I better get some dudes to equal it out. What I realized after I got them all downloaded was a good number of the chick ones were those W.WB files, .webe files, whatever. So it's like it won't let you download a regular image, and or there's another kind of way that they prevent you from downloading images. If you don't notice that that's what it is, then when you go to open it, you realize, I didn't ever get that. I never get that one either. It's one of those stupid meows. So that's why on a plus note, it did successfully prevent what I didn't want to hear, which was, Eric, all of us women think if you're going to do that, if you're going to be one of those dudes who likes to just look at like chicks on a calendar on the wall with half their clothes off or whatever, then you better put some dudes up there too, or else you're not being very welcoming to the chicks or something. But yeah, it ended up being that I had probably more dudes in that first section than I had chicks, because I guess the people who have pictures of chicks, they have more commercial interest in them, so they make them those image download resisting file formats. Leaf trimmer. I'm not saying I did that because I think it's obligated for some sort of social justice thing. I did that because I treat all my friends equally. So I would expect my friends here who are girls to go like, hey, you got a bunch of chicken for people like to eat chicken, but we like to eat beef. Why don't you get any beef? So I got some beef too, I got more than just dudes at my party. So, it's like, if I host a party, the first thing Leaf Trimmer's going to do when he walks in, he's going to be like, what the hell do we need that for? We got a urinal. Well, maybe someone's got to poop. They can poop outside. Actually, that one's for the girls, the trimmer. They get to have a toilet too. Even though they're just girls. I know, it's crazy, but the thing is, Lee Trimmer, Winston, I'm not the only chick, only cool chick. I rarely meet uncool chicks. If you give up the ghost, in other words, if you stop clinging so hard to things that are built out of complicated stuff, and you just appreciate human beings for who they are, you'll go from safe woman hater to safe woman lover, and it's so much better being the latter. You still don't fuck a lot of chicks, right? But you get to love a lot of women without touching them, you know? Whereas if you're mad at them, they're not going to like you. You're always mad at them. This is not sentimentality. When did this get this? You don't use words. You mess with the diction of words, I should say. You know that that's not the right word there. I'm not getting sentimental. I'm getting like sleazy party inviter guy. Hey girls, how you girls doing? You want to come to my party? I love it when I get to talk to girls because you guys always talk about fun stuff. You know, does that make me too PC? Does it make me a feminist? No, it just makes me smooth as fuck. It just means I got lots of game. You know, but don't worry, Lee Trimmer. I understood right away that, oh, this is stupid to prioritize because no matter how much game you have, you still get the same thing, one chick. So why bother having it, you know? I'm not mad, bro. I'm not mad, bro. I'm only glad, bro, to know that you're mad at being sad. One cigarette. No. That's it. This is the last cigarette. Then I'm going to go. I'm going to go on the riverboat cruise of a lifetime. I booked passage on a riverboat cruise. It's got 6 stops. Starts here in Port of California. Stops in Montana by a very convoluted river route. Down the Mississippi, out into the Gulf of Mexico, around the tip of Good Horn, and up to Vermont in a day and a half. Okay. Look, please remember, I don't think you recognize how well you're positioned right now. You are currently an Edge Earl. You are literally one step away from Edgelord. Well, 2. Granted, you are going to need to become Edge Viscount before you become Edgelord. But, you know, Edge Viscount is a famously quick transition stage. You usually can get out of Edge Earl and through Edge Viscount in just a couple of days. Oh, you're an Edge Marquis? I'm Edge Commoner? Yeah, I can't believe it either. I paid $1,500 to participate in this reenactment. My role is commoner. My job is peasant. My sub job is hay. Hay's not a job. It's a thing horses eat. Move the hay, that's a job. Or plant the hay, that's a job. Hay, not a job. Earl is higher than Viscount, but that's only if you're not measuring a number of letters. I do it by measuring a number of letters, which makes Viscount higher by several letters. I'm an edge peasant. Edge peasants are a great word. What do you mean? Some kind of edge lord? Actually, I'm still an edge peasant. I'm hoping to join the edge merchant class. You know who I'd hate to have to entertain for an hour? The lead singer of Jane's Addiction. He seems like a douche. You know who else I'd hate to have to entertain for an hour? That guy who with the really curly hair who played like in comedies for young adult males mostly. A lot of them kind of chubby guy. I think it's him I'm talking about. I saw an interview one time. I think it was him. Could be talking about something else. Somebody else is in that same kind of gang of people. And his FE rough extroversion made me recoil in horror. I read it as FE third plus too much success too soon. I think it was Seth Rogen, not Jonah Hill. I think it was Seth Rogen. He's super extroverted. I found it more like cringe than like, oh, you need to be put in your place. It's more like, oh, it's like you're doing a bad job with your FE. I understand it's difficult for somebody in that position, especially if they attained a fair amount of success fairly young, to master all of the FE skills that one derives from working around the relentless decades of failure. Instead of foreplay or free play, look, Mrs. Mom, there's 3 clear stages to sex. Stage 1. Do you want to have sex? Stage 2. I just kind of lie there for a while. The bed's comfortable. Stage 3. All right, sweetie. Men are awful human beings. We really are just awful people who who really like to put their man stick into women. Sex is funny. Sex is gross. It's like it's like it's just it's not like it's gross when it's not like I find it gross for me, but I find it conceptually gross, you know? It's like ew. Why are they doing all those gross things to each other? I'm continually surprised by the fact that I like it because when you think about it in the abstract, it doesn't sound like a good idea. It sounds totally gross. But I'll get her spit all over my penis. You know, is one thought that would cross any sane person's mind. But you know, that's the very definition of irrationality. When I think about it, it doesn't make any sense at all. But I seem to continue to I guess keep trying to make sense of it. That's my only explanation. It's one of those things that doesn't explain well, you know? Why do you want to have sex? That's a really hard question to answer. There's no explanation for it. It just doesn't explain well, right? It's kind of like skiing. Skiing also doesn't explain well. Why do you want to go skiing, Eric? Or why are you? A better question would be like, why are you skiing? And the answer would always be something like, well, I'm chaperoning the school trip, or well, this is where my parents took me for vacation, or if you were to actually ask me if I decided one day to go skiing, I'd go by myself. I go to Big Bear, let's say, rent some skis, I go skiing, and somebody would have just randomly stopped me in the middle of the slip and say, "Stop! Hey, you! Why are you skiing?" I'd say, well, if you had surprised me with this question, I'd have no answer for you at all. Fortunately, I mused about it on the live stream the other night, and I determined it's a very complicated answer. Do you want to really hear the answer? It's rather complicated. Yeah, I do. I want to hear the answer. So I think it's mostly a pleasant association for me with something I enjoyed a lot in childhood. But it's not that it's not pleasant sliding down the hill. It's just that I agree there's no point to it. It seems it's like it's the only form of travel I do for its own sake. I never ride the train because I love going fast. I never ride an iceberg because I like being cold in the wind. I never ride a bobsled because I want to make it down the hill in the most dangerous way possible. Those things aren't things you can explain. Why do you want to go skiing? I do like skiing, but I can't explain it. It's inherently stupid. You pay to go up to the top of the hill, Why? Well, because then I get to go down to the bottom of the hill again. Why are you going down to the bottom of the hill again? So I can go back up to the top of the hill again. And just one more time. Why are you going to the top of the hill? Why? So I can go back down to the bottom of the hill again. it's inherently hard to justify. It's hard to explain why it's a good idea. It's also hella expensive to play this I can't decide game with the hill. You know, do I want to be on the top of the hill? Do I want to be on the bottom of the hill? I spent all day there, and I never could decide. I just kept going to the bottom, to the top, to the bottom, to the top. Finally, I gave up and just went home. Boy, you really throw that word classy around loosely, don't you? It's like maintaining a lawn. You mean maintaining a snow slope? I agree. It's surprisingly a lot of work to maintain a snow slope. They've got snow scrapers, whatever you want to call them. Like, you know how they got that thing that drives around the baseball diamond and draws scrapes in the dirt? They got that for the snow too. They drive it up the slope to make it like grind up the top of it. And then they have certain slopes where they're like mogul slopes. I don't know if they're naturally occurring if they make those, but it's a lot of engineering sustaining a working ski resort. But so not a lot, but the snow is fairly low on the mountains right now. So it was a very beautiful day, cold but beautiful. It was cold, and if you wanted to feel extra cold, all you do is look north, and there's snow right there, looking extra super cold with kind of dark clouds over it and stuff. It was like, ooh, this is one of those kind of days, huh? Yeah, I try to be careful when I'm watching YouTube videos. Like, for example, the other day, I went, oh no, because I was trying to find the kind of song that Taylor likes, which is like this terrible. It's the one I picked for him was it's that I don't know, some thrasher rock kind of kind of shit, you know. So I was trying to find one of those songs. I listened to a few bad songs in that genre before I found one that was awful, but had some redeeming qualities. And I think it was like number 3 on Loud Wires. 60 best hard rock songs of them, yeah. So I was afraid that YouTube was going to start thinking I had shitty taste in music. My FE definitely plays YouTube. Oh my God, I hope YouTube doesn't think I like this. I definitely don't, YouTube. I need to see what it is for another purpose. This is purely utilitarian listening to this. Please don't think I like Rob Zombie. Please don't think I like Rob Zombie. You clear your YouTube search history regularly? I instruct all of my apps and everything to both save all my data and to share as much of it as is safe, and to make public as much of it as is safe. I love having a digital history. Rachel and I, or at least I had a fun time. I genuinely think Rachel did too. We sat here and I replayed my trip across country in my mind and in my storytelling, because I was looking at Google Maps on my phone, and it has a history of everywhere you've been that you put into Google Maps and a dateline. So I went back to that year, and I could see each of the cities I stopped in. I was like, oh yeah, I stopped there. I remember that. I told Rachel about it. It was great. I've said before, I love Magic Sky Friend. Magic Sky Friend is the meta one of all those things. It keeps track of everything you do and say, and it uses that data to update your ontological profile. So, for example, certain kinds of statements exemplify passive-aggressive responses in some way or another. So, like let's say, let's say Barbarella shows up, unknown person with a B, and they're trying to troll in the usual ways or whatever, being non-responsive, making dumb points, not considering what other people are saying at all, not checking themselves or correcting themselves or acknowledging anything. They're being that, right? So I might be ignoring them and say something like, then maybe like Leaf Trimmer will say something. I'll say, well, see, I mean, that's the thing, Leaf Trimmer. There are a lot of people who get I start telling this relevant point, and then way down from the beginning, I say, after I've explained a bunch of stuff that's universalist, I'll go, oh, like look at Barbarella. It's a perfect example. I don't doubt that they've. So the thing is, I'm talking to Leaf Trimmer, but I'm really attacking Barbarella. I'm guilty of that shit too. I would like Magic Sky Friend to keep track of that for me, and say, so okay, today, Eric, you were passive aggressive, and here's your meta frame. You at least explicitly affirm that if you're going to be aggressive at all, you should be active aggressive, which doesn't mean physically, but it does mean like instead of saying like Barbarella here, blah, 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 I go, Barbarella, if I were to exercise what I think about you, I'd say insulting things, but I'm not going to do that right now. That'd be like super pouty wise man. Pouty wise man is a good technique probably too. Look, just a sigh and a meow. You're making me go to sleep. I can tell. I am so going to sleep while I'm sitting here. I gotta go. Goodbye, everybody. I love you. Don't forget to eat plenty of cheese. I'm falling asleep.